For years, many men have carried a quiet belief that after 50, whatever happens in their private life should simply be accepted. That if your energy is lower, if your body responds differently, if your confidence wobbles, it's just normal aging and you shouldn't even talk about it. And when the topic is self-stimulation, the silence gets even heavier because the conversation is usually wrapped in shame, jokes, or extremes. But the truth is much calmer and much more hopeful. After 50, this habit is not automatically a problem, and it's not automatically harmless either. It can be neutral. It can be healthy, or it can become a signal that something deeper is going on in your body or your mind. In this video, I want to help you recognize the difference without guilt and without fear. I'm going to explain what changes in the body with age, what science suggests about frequency and well-being, how this habit can quietly affect your sleep, your mood, and your confidence, and most importantly, what to do if you suspect it's drifting into a pattern that drains you instead of supporting you. Because ignoring it isn't wisdom. Wisdom is noticing what your body is trying to tell you. As men move into their 50s and beyond, three changes become more common, even in healthy people. Circulation becomes more sensitive to lifestyle. The nervous system becomes more reactive to stress and poor sleep. And recovery takes longer after anything that spikes stimulation, whether that's heavy meals late at night, alcohol, or intense screen time. This matters because the habit we're talking about is rarely isolated. It often comes with context. It happens late at night when someone is tired and restless. It happens after scrolling and overstimulation. It happens when someone feels lonely, stressed, or disconnected. And over time, the brain can link this habit with emotional relief, not just physical release. That's where the difference begins. When it's a conscious choice, it tends to be neutral or even beneficial. When it becomes a reflex for stress relief, it can start shaping the nervous system in a way that makes life feel more anxious and less satisfying. Let's talk about the common struggles men over 50 mention, because you might recognize one or two. Some men say they feel a foggy heaviness the next day, like their motivation is lower. Others say they sleep later, then wake up tired. Some notice that their confidence in intimate moments is less stable, not because they don't care, but because their body feels less responsive when they want it to be. And some feel a quiet frustration. They can still function, but they don't feel as vital and they don't know what's causing it. It's easy to blame the habit itself. It's also easy to deny it completely. The smarter move is to ask three simple questions. When does it happen? Why does it happen? And what happens after? Because the impact is less about the act and more about the pattern. Now I want to give you the resource that actually changes this conversation in a healthy way, and it's not a supplement and it's not a strict rule. It's a practice. Intentional regulation of your nervous system and reward system. That sounds technical, but it's simple. It means you stop letting a quick hit of stimulation be your main tool for emotional relief, and you train your body to calm down in other ways. When you do that, you usually notice improvements in sleep quality, day-to-day motivation, and intimate confidence, especially in maturity. Here's how it works. The brain is always learning. If you repeatedly pair stress or loneliness with quick stimulation, your brain starts to expect it. It becomes the fastest path to relief. The problem is that fast relief has a cost. It can reduce sensitivity to slower pleasures like real connection, achievement, movement, and meaningful rest. And over time, that can make you feel less satisfied with normal life, even if nothing dramatic is wrong. In men over 50, this can be intensified by sleep disruption. Late-night stimulation, especially paired with screens, light exposure, and mental arousal, can shift your nervous system into a more alert state right when you need to downshift. You might fall asleep, but the sleep can be lighter and less restorative. And when sleep becomes weaker, testosterone rhythms and mood stability tend to suffer. Not because you're broken, but because biology is responsive. This is why some men don't feel guilty after they feel tired. They feel flat. They feel less driven. That's not morality. That's physiology and nervous system timing. So, what are the benefits of approaching this with intention instead of ignoring it? The first benefit is better sleep depth. When you stop using stimulation as a bedtime sedative and you build a calmer wind down routine, you often wake up with a clearer mind and steadier energy. Sleep is one of the strongest predictors of vitality and maturity, and protecting it is a form of self respect. The second benefit is stronger daytime motivation. When your brain isn't constantly chasing quick reward loops, motivation starts to return to what actually builds your life: movement, work, relationships, hobbies, purpose. You don't have to become rigid. You simply stop feeding the loop that makes everything else feel less interesting. The third benefit is improved intimate confidence. Confidence is not only about performance, it's about trust in your body and ease in your mind. Men who reduce compulsive patterns often notice they feel less anxious, less rushed, and more present. Presence is one of the most powerful ingredients of connection in maturity. The fourth benefit is emotional steadiness. Many men don't realize how often they are using stimulation to numb stress. When you replace that reflex with healthier regulation, your emotional range returns. You become calmer, less reactive, and more grounded. Now, I want to be very clear about something that protects you from unnecessary fear. Self-stimulation by itself is not a disease. It does not automatically drain your life force. Moderate frequency for many men is neutral, and for some it can even be part of healthy self-knowledge. The warning signs are not the act. The warning signs are loss of control, interference with sleep, interference with relationships, reliance on extreme content for arousal, and using it to avoid emotions you need to process. That's what you should not ignore. Let me share a few brief examples that show how this looks in real life. A man in his early 50s told me he thought his issue was low hormones because he felt unmotivated. But when we mapped his week, the pattern was obvious: late nights, heavy phone use, stimulation right before sleep, and waking up groggy. When he changed his evenings, his mornings improved. The hormone problem was mostly a sleep problem. Another man in his late 50s felt anxious in intimate moments with his partner. He assumed he was failing, but he had developed a solo pattern that trained his brain toward speed and privacy. When he slowed down his nervous system, reduced the solo frequency, and rebuilt connection with his partner through communication and affection, his confidence returned. He didn't need punishment. He needed reconditioning and closeness. And a man in his 60s told me he used it whenever he felt stress about money or work. It was his escape. Once he realized that, he didn't need shame. He needed new coping tools. He started walking after dinner, doing short breathing sessions, and journaling for 5 minutes. The habit naturally reduced because he didn't need it as a stress medication anymore. That's the real shift, replacing coping with healing. So, what should you do starting today, in a way that's practical and respectful? I like to use a simple approach: a 2-week reset designed to protect sleep and restore sensitivity to normal life. For 14 days, move this habit away from bedtime. If it happens, keep it earlier in the day, not late at night. Protect your final hour before sleep as a calm zone: dim light, no scrolling, no intense stimulation, and a short wind-down routine. Add a daily walk, preferably in daylight. Include 2 days of strength training if your body allows it. And keep meals lighter in the evening. Most importantly, practice a replacement strategy for stress. When you feel the urge driven by tension rather than choice, do a 2-minute downshift first. Slow breathing with a longer exhale, shoulders relaxed, jaw unclenched. Then ask yourself, what do I actually need right now? Sleep, movement, connection, or comfort? If after those 2 minutes you still choose it, that choice is now conscious, not compulsive. That single shift is powerful. And if you notice that you can't interrupt the pattern, or it's interfering with your relationship, or you're relying on increasingly intense content, that's not a reason for shame. It's a reason to seek support. Many men benefit from working with a therapist familiar with compulsive behaviors or anxiety, because the goal isn't to become perfect. The goal is to become free. Now, I want to close with one sentence that summarizes everything. After 50, the question is not whether you do it. The question is whether it's building your life or quietly shrinking it. You deserve a private life that supports your energy, your sleep, and your confidence, not one that leaves you feeling foggy, tense, or disconnected. If this message resonated, I invite you to take the 2 week reset as a personal experiment, not a punishment. And if you feel comfortable, share in the comments what you've noticed about sleep, energy, and confidence as you've gotten older. Your experience could help another man feel less alone. And if you want more guidance on natural habits for vitality and maturity, circulation, and calm confidence, you can subscribe and stay close.